Welcome back to another video lyric explanation from Songs from XLove. We are going to get into the fourth and last song in this series, which is called Love with an exclamation mark. I know there's also Burn too, but it's essentially the same lyrics, so I won't explain that one twice. We'll end it with Love here. So let's get right into it. This is kind of a song written in two parts. I actually wrote the first half, I would say maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, it's probably about a decade old. I wrote the first verse and made like a short song out of that, and then revisited it to do a second verse. So it's actually about two different relationships, but both of them didn't work out for different reasons. Now, the first one, it was pre-smartphone, and pre-smartphone, it used to be pretty common to pocket dial somebody or butt dial somebody. Essentially, your phone would be in your pocket, you'd sit down, you'd move funny, it would press, I don't even know what button would do it, like send would sometimes, I guess, call like the last person that you called or something like that. So it's just really common to get random calls from your friends or your parents or whoever, and they're not actually on the phone, it's just in their pocket or in their purse or whatever it is. So anyways, this is like essentially one of the first like relationships after my ex-wife had left, and I was seeing somebody who I was liked quite a bit. We weren't like an official relationship or anything like that, but we had been, you know, having a good time together and enjoying each other and talking about how we were enjoying each other. So it was like moving that direction, and they were on their way to a party in Los Angeles, and they were like, oh yeah, I'm going to this thing, like it's a big party, but don't worry, like I'm not gonna do anything or whatever. I'm like so happy with how things are going with us, like I'm like, okay, that's cool, like, you know, have fun at your party, and I appreciate you saying that you're into me in that way and are not really looking to hook up with other people. And I just like went to work on actually songs or whatever for a couple hours, and then went to bed. And then I received a phone call at like 1 a.m, and it was them. And I was like, oh, I immediately assumed something's like wrong, like something's really wrong, because why am I getting a call this late in the morning? Because they're nowhere near me at this point in time. So I pick up like, oh no, like what's wrong? Like what's going on? And it was a pocket dial, and I was like, oh, I can hear your voice and I hear somebody else's voice laughing. And then there like proceeds to be like some hooking up action going on while I'm like in bed, like thinking something's wrong. And I was like, oh, this sucks. This sucks quite a bit. At the same time, I just like gone through like this other thing where, you know, my wife at the time left, so that was like way more extreme in terms of things that suck. So even though this was something like really sucked, it was like very low on like the bullshit meter as far as things that I was dealing with at that time in life. So I was like, oh, this sucks, but whatever. But I was like having trouble going back to sleep because I was just thinking about, you know, I'm just like, oh, now I don't feel good. Now I'm unhappy. Now I'm having trouble sleeping. But there's a guitar in my room. So pick up the guitar, figure out these chords together, and sing this first verse. And right away I record it like as I write it. So there's a recording somewhere of this first verse. And you're too good to be true. And it turns out that you're not true. You're just another silly dream I had. And I should know better than to dream at all. 'Cause every time I jump, I fall. I fell for you, but you're not true. So, yeah, I mean, I really like somebody. It should have been clear to me that maybe they're kind of messy, because they were essentially like the same person as my ex. Like the reason I even knew them was because they were like in a music video together where they rob a bank. and take off into the sunset like they were kind of the same person in some ways. And yeah, I definitely should have known that that was not a person that was gonna like immediately fall into like a loving, stable, nice relationship. But I think partly because you tend to like kind of gravitate towards that which you're familiar with. And so, you know, it happens. It happens to us that we look for things that aren't the best for us because we're used to them. And so I was really, really into that person, and I should have known better. Because when I jump, I fall, as in like I fall on my face. I fell for you, as in like I fell on my face, but also like, oh, I was into you, but you're not true. La la la's, a lot of la la la's, which are interesting because it's kind of like a sad verse, but like the la la la's are very happy, and I'll explain that at the end. Second verse, 10 years later, basically, I'm in a totally different city. I didn't really fall for people that often after that first time where I was dumb. Most of my relationships were very casual after that for a long time. And then this person was the first person that I attempted to not be like totally casual with. And I was just really into them. And things were going really well. And it felt like, oh, we have like this future here, and we're like in the same space, and we want to move towards the same direction. And everything is going really well. And then, you know, they pieced out suddenly, and it was very confusing, and it took me a long time to get over them. And they're actually the subject of Burn, so same relationship. You can go back to that explanation if you want more on that. But then I was like, well, right, kind of the same thing where like I fell for something and they weren't true. It's a little different. It's not like they were like being messy in that way, but like instead so not like the first verse was messy, but here it's like I fell for the idea of like a positive relationship that had a future, and that wasn't true. So let's get into that. Now, when the colder weather calls and there's no comfort to find at all, I start thinking of you, because I've dated everyone inside this small town. I was in Bakersfield at the time that this happened, and I wrote this. And it felt like I did date everybody in that town, or at least like not necessarily like long term or anything like that, but like it just feels like you interact with everybody pretty quickly, even though there's 400,000 people there. It seems like there's only like 40. But so, because I've dated everyone inside this small town, they tried to hold me, but I just shut down, because they're not you, but you're not true. And so what I mean by that is when that relationship ended, I went back to being like hyper casual and just running around being wild myself. And you know, some people tried, but I didn't feel like a future in anything that was going on. So they tried to hold me, but I just shut down because they're not you. And you know, somebody would try to make something happen, and I would be like, I don't like you as much as I like this other person. And to me, it never makes sense to see. It's very unfair to somebody if you're like being in a relationship, moving forward with someone when you're actually care more about somebody else, even if they don't feel that way about you for whatever reason. So just shut down because they're not you, but you're not true. And what I mean by that is that person, there wasn't like a cheating situation going on there, but the idea of love, of this like positive thing that we had together that was moving somewhere, it wasn't true. I fell for it again. I was like, oh, this can be a thing. I can have this, and then like, whoa, trip, fall on your face. You're not true. The idea is not true. And then a whole bunch of laws. La 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 la, la la la, love. Now the laws are very celebratory, and the reason for that is because in the space between those two situations, I was incapable of falling for anybody else. For 10 years. Like I had relationships. Most of them weren't very serious. The ones that tried really couldn't be serious. That's why I usually got out of them. But between those two relationships, everything had to be casual, because I couldn't like fall. I wasn't capable of falling for somebody in those 10 years. And then this person, I fell for them, and it didn't work out, but like that I could fall for somebody, that my heart was like willing to take that leap, is very positive. It was a very positive thing. So even though it's like a negative experience, it was also a positive experience because I was like, oh, I can fall in love. I can fall in love. I couldn't do that for a really long time. I can fall in love. So that's why it's like, there's these two sad verses, 10 years apart, but those la la la's are just pure joy that love has returned to me. Not love that worked out, but just the ability to fall in love in that way, the ability to long for someone in that way. Love was still being lost, but I had it to begin with to be able to lose. Love had returned. That's why the la la la's are so happy. Getting your heart broken is not that bad. It hurts like a motherfucker, don't get me wrong. But what a privilege. What a privilege it is to feel pain. Anyway, that's it. These are the lyrics from XLove. I hope you've enjoyed these explanations. I'll see you again soon for new albums that I'll be working on. And I think I'm going to do explanation videos for older songs that I've released as well. So I guess I'll see you then as we get into those. All right, go out there and make some songs, or at least make some stories. Live a life worth singing about.
And you're too good to be true. And it turns out that you're not true. You're just another silly dream I had. And I should know better than to dream it all. 'Cause every time I jump, I fall. I fell for you, but you're not true. La 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 colder weather calls, and there's no comfort to find at all. I stop thinking of you, 'cause I've dated everyone inside this small town. They tried to hold me, but I just shut down, 'cause they're not you, but you're not true. La 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 la